But as we start moving into, so let's say, the holiday season, things start to become out of rhythm, out of patterns. And we know that dogs like to have a pattern of predictability. So when things are out of pattern, things are out of that rhythm, it causes a little bit of stress. Now, every dog is going to be different, but I will say, if you picture this sort of threshold thing, the threshold that we're moving up to is what I would call the bite threshold. And every single dog has a bite threshold. Some dogs run closer to that threshold than others, just on a daily. Like some dogs are just teetering underneath that threshold, while others are way below it that you'd think, I don't think my dog would ever, those people that are like, my dog wouldn't hurt a flea. My dog would never in a million years. Yeah, they would. All dogs have the threshold to bite. All dogs. Yes, today on the podcast, we were talking about that layered stress threshold and the holiday hangover. It is real. Why your dog might be biting or having meltdowns? Let's get into it. Ready to have a calm and peaceful life with your dog without the stress of those fear-based behaviors? Hi, I'm Tracy, and I've been there, overwhelmed by all the conflicting dog training advice and unsure of what to do next. But now I help dog lovers like you simplify your life with your dog by building confidence naturally, fostering trust, and addressing those fear-based challenges. So, if you're ready, stop chopping those chicken wieners and let's get to it. Hey there, friend. You ever get halfway through a walk and realize that you're out of treats? And all of a sudden your dog stops listening, your confidence tanks, and you're sitting there thinking, well, I guess I don't matter anymore. Here's the truth. Treats can be a great tool, but that's all they are. They're a tool to assist you in your relationship, not the foundation it's built on. Because if you build your relationship on a cookie foundation, don't be surprised when that cookie crumbles. But you know what never runs out? You. That's right, you. You're the constant in your dog's life. So what if you became the reason and the reward? Because that's exactly what my Fearless Framework online program is all about. 12 months, you get online support, videos, video analysis, and an incredible community. It's a 3-step trust system to help break the fear cycle, build real confidence in you and your dog. Because you are enough. Let me show you how. Enroll in the Fearless Framework at beyondobedience.ca/fearless, and I'll see you there. Well, hello, my beautiful friend. Welcome to Beyond Obedience, the podcast. Super duper welcome if you're brand new. And if someone shared this podcast with you, give them a little squishy hug, a little high five from me. Thank you so much for being here. So glad that you are here, my friend. Here on Beyond Obedience, we talk about all things beyond obedience. Maybe a little bit of obedience. Nah, mostly beyond obedience. What does beyond obedience even mean, Tracy? Well, I'm glad you asked. The way I look at it is this way. When we are talking about obedience, we're talking about teaching the dog English as a second language. It's trying to create a shared language with your dog. And that's important. It is important. It helps your dog cope and manage through Humansville. But the reality of it is, for many of us, after we've taken, the beginner obedience class and we've taught our dog sit, stay, down, come, and they do it most of the time. That's all we really do. And then we don't really do much with the obedience after that. Sure, we'll call their name or we'll tell them to come here. And maybe we'll ask them to sit to take a cookie. But the majority of the day, if you were to look at your dog right now, take a look at your dog right now. Are they currently in an obedience command? Are they in a down stay? Are they in a sit stay? Are they in a wait command? I would hazard to guess no. I would guess they're probably just doing their own thing. They're lying on their bed, they're having a little snooze, but you didn't tell them to go there. And that's kind of what we want. Can you imagine if you had to live with a dog where they constantly had to be in a command? No, that would be awful. No one wants that. No one wants that. You want a life of inclusiveness. You want a life of ease. You want a life of understanding your dogs and connecting with your dogs. That's what beyond obedience means. So it's not anti-obedience. We're not the anti-obedience show. I believe obedience has its place. Absolutely. We are talking about all the things that happen and all the things you can do to understand your dog better. And if I'm being honest, and this might scare you if you're new, we're gonna be focusing more on you, not you personally, like not you, but we'll be focusing on us, the humans, because you are the greatest influence in your dog's life, whether it's good or bad. That's the thing. Right? That's what it comes down to, right? That's what we've discovered, is that the things that you do on a day-to-day basis are what helps shape your relationship with your dog. And most of us are doing things without thinking about it, and it's hindering our relationship. It's preventing us from getting to a really great place with our dogs, a place of ease, a place where you don't have to second guess yourself. And was that the right thing? And should I do this? And all of that stuff. You just kind of know. That's what we're talking about here at Beyond Obedience. So, all that to say, welcome. Welcome, my friend. All right. If you caught the last episode, I started talking about like holiday stress and socializing and being a partner and being like pro-social support during the holidays. And then I got off on a tangent about the time that I took my dogs, the one and only time I took my dogs to get their picture taken with Santa. And I'm sure many people that listen to it might have been like, oh, but I love taking my dog to see Santa. And I get that. And I think the episode before that, I was talking about people dressing up their dogs in Christmas jammies. And people were like, but I like it from the pictures, Tracy. And I get it. And so today, I want to talk about the fact that I'm not trying to be like a killjoy when it comes to doing the things. All I'm saying is this. Let's put it out on the table here. All I'm saying is that when we do goofy human things, like, in my case, buy my dog a hooded jacket with a faux fur hood lining, for a dog that likes to dig in the snow. I mean, when we do things like that, we just need to recognize that it's completely 100% for us. It's a completely silly human construct thing that we are doing. We need to recognize it and acknowledge it. And as long as it's not putting our dogs in like huge stress related things, like as I mentioned at the Santa photos, like if I'm being real, there was a lot of stressful dogs at that Santa photo. There were a lot of dogs that were not digging the experience. And that's where I do have a problem with it. But if you have a dog that's like a happy-go-lucky dog that's like, I don't mind going and sitting on, you got a golden retriever that doesn't mind going and sitting on a stranger's that dressed up like a bearded fat guy, hey, have at her, right? But what I want you to recognize is that it is not for the dog. No part of that experience is for the dog. And I would be willing to say, if you're going to make your dog endure that, you should at least be like, do this for me. And afterwards, we're going to go do something for you. Like if you're going to make your dog sit pretty on Santa's lap or wear goofy Christmas jammies, all I'm saying is that maybe you need to get your butt outside and go chase some squirrels with your dog, because fair is fair. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to put that out there. Go chase some squirrels. So, all right, I wanted to actually kind of expand on what we talked about last time, because the show did get away on me a little bit. Shocker. I know, right? Shocker. You're all like, if you've been following me for a while, they're like, I don't think she ever gets to her point. And it's true. It's true. So today I want to talk basically about this idea of like a holiday hangover, right? The holiday hangover, it's real. And you could actually see some meltdowns or even biting, snapping, all of that stuff can happen when dogs are hungover from the holidays or stressed out from the holidays. So I want to talk about that today because this all sort of boils down to this concept, and I've spoken about this before, but it's this concept of the layered stress that stacks up with our dogs. Now, I will say, as someone who is an introvert, and I mean, like, when we're talking introversion, I'm like a 98 on that scale of introversion. Now, some people don't quite understand what introversion means. An introvert isn't someone who doesn't like people. That's not it at all. I love people. I love people. But what it does mean is that I get drained really quickly in social environments. And so whereas Mark, my partner, who is a extrovert, he actually gets energized by going to gatherings and parties and hanging out with people. Like, he likes that kind of thing. I will tell you, I feel like it's a hangover afterwards if I have to do it for a long period of time or many days in a row. Like, I feel like I feel like a hangover. Like, I need to crawl into my bed and not talk to anybody and binge watch, reruns of Grey's Anatomy or Gilmore Girls or something to just sort of start to feel like myself again. That's essentially it. And I feel as though a lot of our dogs are similar in that way. I do find that we have this idea of this layered stress thing. So let's kind of break down the layered stress model for you. I got this originally, some of these concepts from Chad Mackin of Pack to Basics many years ago. Gosh, how many years ago was that seminar? 2015? Maybe was it 10 years? Has it been 10 years? Oh my, maybe. That's quite possible. It might have been 10 years ago. Anyway, I liked the concept because it really does sort of fit into my fearful dog model. It kind of blends into it perfectly and how fearful dogs and the prey mind work. But basically what it comes down to is if you think about your dog's day, when they get up in the morning, they're at a low threshold or a low level of stress, right? Because everything is normal. There's nothing out of the ordinary. They get up, they have their breakfast, they go out in the yard. Maybe there's a couple stressful things there. There's a squirrel there that wasn't there before. It's talking smack to him. I don't know. There could be some stressful things, but generally speaking, we're talking like lower level of stress. So your dog's going through the day thinking everything's fine. But as we start moving into, so let's say, the holiday season, things start to become out of rhythm, out of patterns. And we know that dogs like to have a pattern of predictability. So when things are out of pattern, things are out of that rhythm, it causes a little bit of stress. Now, every dog is going to be different, but I will say if you picture this sort of threshold thing, the threshold that we're moving up to is what I would call the bite threshold. And every single dog has a bite threshold. Some dogs run closer to that threshold than others, just on a daily. Like, some dogs are just teetering underneath that threshold, while others are way below it that you'd think, I don't think my dog would ever, those people that are like, my dog wouldn't hurt a flea. My dog would never in a million years. Yeah, they would. All dogs have the threshold to bite. All dogs. It's just that they have a huge gap between where they are on a regular to where that threshold is, but it does exist. So if we look at that, the top of the graph, if you're looking, like, imagine a graph, the top of the graph is that threshold to bite, but your dog is way down below and they're going through their day. And on a regular day, that's not the craziness of the holidays, they might get up a little bit and then come back down, get up a little bit, come back down. Something might come out of the ordinary, or they have, let's say, a vet appointment, and that's really stressful. So they go up a little bit, but then they come home and everything's fine. That's how your dog's day goes. But when we get into the holiday season, a lot of their pattern of predictability gets blown out of the water with the, constant guests and the different things, not to mention, like, We bring out all of our crazy decorations. We bring a tree inside the house. What is that about? And then we tell the dog, don't pee on that. Even though we brought the outdoors inside. Don't pee on that. There's like baking and different smells and guests and sometimes guests staying overnight or staying for a couple of days. Their routine gets out of whack because people are going to parties. The dog is in the crate a little bit more and not doing the normal things that they do. All of these disruptions of their pattern of predictability increase their stress level. And if there's enough of them layered on top of one another without enough time for your dog to decompress, we can have a lot of dogs running real close to that threshold for biting. Real close. And that's when over the holidays, we'll hear things like, oh my gosh, like, you know, my little nephew went to go pet the dog and he snapped at him. And you're like, he's never done that before. Well, no, but it also, the circumstances have never been this high, right? Holidays equals disrupted routines, guests. Oh, let's talk about the noise and the energy that is around, right? So we want to be aware. We want to be aware of these layered stress things. If you know that you have a dog that's going to be having a lot of guests coming over or a lot of activities happening, make sure that we're remembering to put in some downtime and some quiet time. We want to look for those signs of stress like pacing, hypervigilance, and then even some sudden reactivity where the dog is just like all of a sudden really turns quickly and is like looking at you like, what's going on? We want to make sure that we are aware of these things, that we're looking at the dog and checking to see how the dog is doing. And then we want to support them with maybe a little bit of extra crate time, a little bit more downtime, maybe some be with time, right? Maybe actually some be with time. Maybe it means taking the dog out for a sniffy break, right? Like sniffing walks and whatnot help to lower things down. We want to build in lots of break time so that we don't keep layering on stress on top of stress on top of stress, so that we are edging just underneath that bite threshold. Now, I don't say that to scare you. I don't say that to scare you. I say it to actually just sort of, breathe some reality into this, because as a trainer, I have heard on more than one occasion the phrase, my dog bit somebody or my dog snapped out of nowhere. And I will tell you, it is never out of nowhere. Well, rarely. I don't want to say never. I mean, there obviously are cases of dogs that, have some, so a wire loose kind of a thing. But generally speaking, rarely does a dog snap out of nowhere. It is usually a case of layered stress, especially if it's a dog that has never done it before. It's usually layered stress, and it's you not picking up on the layered stress, not picking up on your dog, maybe not settling down, maybe feeling a little bit anxious, panting, pacing, all of that stuff. You miss it, and then all of a sudden, out of quote unquote nowhere, the dog is like, I've had enough. I can't take it anymore. So we want to make sure that we are aware of that, because I call it the holiday hangover. It's real. It's absolutely real. So your dog having a meltdown or biting or snapping is probably layered stress. And we want to make sure that we are not only aware of it, but we're protecting them against it. And the way that we do that is to give some decompression time. Okay, you got to think of it this way too. Like, we're no different. Something stressful happens to you. It takes you a little bit, like it takes you a beat to come down off that. Like, you ever have one of those like really close calls in the car, You ever had that where you're like, oh my gosh, that was close. It sticks with you for a little while, right? I want you to sort of think about that, or even just bad day stuff, right? You get up in the morning, you stub your toe, and next thing you know, you spilt your coffee, and like everything just starts to spiral down on you. That's also layered, right? I want you to kind of think about that when it comes to your dog. So if you know that your dog is going to have to endure a lot of things in a short amount of time, how can you prevent that layered stress? What kind of, what kind of things can you do to prevent it, and then also to combat it if you're in it? And again, maybe that means you see that the dog the kids are running around, the dog's getting a little bit stressed out. Maybe just say, kids, it's time that let's give the dog a break. Let's give the dog a little bit of a rest. Let's let the dog go lie down and nobody bug the dog, kind of a thing. That's what I want you to think about as the holidays get closer and closer and closer. I'm not ready. So you don't have to ask. I'll answer. If anyone's like, are you ready for... No, I'm not. I'm not. All right. I think that's it for today, my friend. I hope that helps. Think about that layered stress and the holiday hangover with your dog this season. And hey, if you like this kind of thing, be sure to take a moment. Head on over to Apple and leave a 5-star written review. Leave a comment and a rating over on Spotify or wherever you listen. It really does help to push the podcast out to more and more people. And as always, get out there today, my dog-loving friend, and be the person that your dog thinks you are. Because your dog thinks that you are amazing, and so do I. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now. One more thing. This podcast is meant for entertainment and education purposes only and is not meant to replace hands-on professional training. If you're really struggling with your dog, please reach out to a professional in your area. All right, I think that's it. Bye for now.